against Russia, of course, affecting business news.
Indeed, yeah, and of course, as you were saying earlier in the bulletin, EU ministers have already agreed to particular measures targeting 21 Russians and Crimeans with asset freezes and visa bans, but there's no consensus over the next step, a potential phase 3, it's being called, of sanctions against Russia. Now, there are considerable fears over what effect those measures could have on Europe's many economic and financial ties to Russia. The links are particularly pronounced in London, where Russian investors are big players in property, the luxury sector and, of course, the stock market. This report from Helen Percival and our team in London.
From these computers in the city of London, Moscow is much closer than it might appear. In total, 70 Russian businesses are listed in the British capital.
So Lenta is a Russian supermarket, and this is a dual-listed London and Moscow company.
But the threat of fresh EU sanctions against Russia doesn't seem to be cause for concern.
I don't think the city is worried about further EU sanctions at the moment. What they've done is limited so far, and I think what they could do more is somewhat mild to temperate, but nothing that will essentially hurt economic growth.
In this shop selling exclusive wines, Russian millionaire Evgeny Shishvakin is feeling some effects of the crisis in Ukraine.
We lost 2 customers because now they didn't buy the wine. They have a lot of troubles.
Were they from Russia? Were they from
Ukraine? The account's frozen.
But for this exiled former businessman, the impact of the sanctions stops there.
Now it doesn't work. They all afraid of the Putin.
This is some reassurance for the luxury boutiques of Mayfair, just a few streets away.
One of the third biggest market for us would be the Russians, certainly. So it's an important sector.
Also, as the biggest foreign buyers of homes in London, it's a significant clientele the British capital can't afford to lose.
Now then, next to what's moving the markets, comments from Janet Yellen. This is at the Federal Reserve.
Yes, her first press conference on Wednesday, and she's already managed to make waves during it. Janet Yellen sent stocks tumbling after suggesting interest rates at America's central bank could rise earlier than expected next year. Now, the Fed's officials expect interest rates to reach around 1% by the end of 2015. Janet Yellen also announced another reduction to the bank's stimulus programme, another $10 billion less they're going to be pumping into the economy every month. As always, though, the Fed has warned that all of these measures are based on improving economic conditions.
The FOMC will base its ongoing assessment on a wide range of information, including measures of labour market conditions, indicators of inflation pressures and inflation expectations, and readings on financial developments.
The message the markets took from that was that because interest rates are going to rise soon, gold prices were sent lower and bond yields went up. Wall Street wasn't too impressed either. One analyst saying that Janet Yellen had cast a haze of uncertainty for investors, and that haze, as you can see, is continuing to hang over the Asian markets today. The Nikkei in Japan leading those falls, down 1.41%. One company that we're watching for you in the Hang Seng in Hong Kong is Tencent, the Chinese internet giant. Their shares were down this morning on news that their messaging service WeChat wasn't growing as fast as investors had expected. Recovered somewhat now, but as you can see, still a majorly negative picture across the Asian markets.
OK, Stephen, take us through some of the other business stories then.
Yeah, we're going to start with the Italian defence and aerospace group Finmeccanica, which has turned a profit for the first time in 3 years. It earned €74 million net profit last year after 2 years of massive losses at the company. The firm's CEO says a restructuring plan had helped restore credibility in its business. The low-cost airline EasyJet has confirmed its order for 135 Airbus planes worth around €12 billion. The deal was signed by the carrier's chief executive in Paris. The new A320 planes will begin to be delivered next year. France is EasyJet's second largest market after the United Kingdom. And the coffee chain Starbucks is seeking to almost double its market capitalisation to $100 billion. The company is expanding its digital business, offering customers a chance to pre-order their coffees via a mobile app. It's also investing now in the tea market, including the Oprah Chai, which was unveiled by chat show host Oprah Winfrey.
The Oprah Chai, they could just call it the Oprah Win Tea, couldn't they?
Much cleverer.
Much cleverer. They should have asked me. They could have paid me a fortune for that, but they didn't. All right, Stephen, thanks so much. Stephen with business on France 24. Flo's here. She was talking a lot about scandal yesterday in the French newspapers, and I think it's carrying on today, isn't it?
Oh, yes.